Funny stories never get tired of learning. Imagine a gentle morning when the sunlight is just filtering through the leaves outside the window, and you are sitting there, holding a cup of warm tea, preparing to start a new day. Everything seems normal until the door suddenly opens, and Jack, your funny neighbor, appears with a mysterious smile. Jack is famous for always coming up with strange, sometimes silly, but always making everyone laugh. Today, he is no different. Jack takes a deep breath and says, "You know, this morning I decided to study French. But instead of reading a book, I thought, why not talk to my cat in French?" You laugh, trying to imagine Jack saying bonjour while ringing the cat bell. Jack nodded and continued. The cat looked at me, clearly not understanding. It turned around and walked away proudly. I chased after it, continuing to speak in that silly French accent I had just learned online. Finally, it jumped on the table, looking at me like, "What's wrong with you?" And I realized I had just learned an interesting lesson. Learning a foreign language without feedback is really weird. You burst out laughing, not because Jack's French was bad, but because the way he described the cat's eyes was so vivid. Jack sighed, but chuckled. But at least I had fun. And you know, if you don't have fun, you get bored easily. I think the trick is, make it your own joke. This little story makes you think of yourself. How many times have you studied English, tried to remember dry grammar rules, memorized long lists of vocabulary, and then ended up forgetting everything? Perhaps you have forgotten what Jack accidentally discovered. Learning while having fun is not tiring at all. And luckily, today we will explore more humorous stories like that together. They not only help you laugh comfortably, but also infiltrate your mind with sentence patterns, vocabulary, and even grammar structures in the most natural way. So, sit back, relax your shoulders, and let laughter take you further than dry lessons. Because sometimes it is the silliest stories that are engraved in our memories the longest. In the next part, you will encounter more funny situations and then realize that learning a foreign language can actually be much more interesting than you think. Funny stories, learning without getting tired, part 2. After the story about Jack and the cat, you suddenly remember Emma, your best friend who studied abroad in Canada. Emma once told you an unforgettable memory in her first days of studying abroad. When she first arrived, Emma was very confident in her English. However, one morning, she stopped by a coffee shop near her dormitory and confidently ordered, "Can I have a latte with no sugar, please?" Everything went smoothly until the staff asked, "Would you like a lid on that?" Emma panicked, her face pale. In her mind, the word lid was completely meaningless. She stuttered, thinking they were asking for a side dish, so she quickly said, "No, thank you, I'm not hungry." The staff was stunned for a few seconds, then just smiled slightly, put the lid on the cup and gave it to her. Emma took the cup of coffee and walked away, blushing as she walked. When she got back to her room, she looked it up in the dictionary and burst out laughing. Oh my God, lid is just a lid on a cup. That night, she texted her friend to tell her the story, making fun of herself without mercy. But then Emma said something that made you think. If I didn't dare to be stupid, didn't dare to say anything wrong, I would never be able to improve. Every time I was embarrassed, I remembered it for a long time. And from then on, I never forgot the word lid again. You sat there in silence. Yes, we are often afraid of being wrong, afraid of being stupid, so we withdraw more and more. But learning a foreign language is like that. You have to fall, you have to be embarrassed, then you can stand up and continue. Like the neighbor boy Sam, only 6 years old, who ran over to show off to his friend the other day. Guess what? I can count to 10 in Spanish. Then he started counting. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, 10. You almost burst out laughing, because 10 is obviously English, and in Spanish it is diez. But Sam was very proud, his eyes sparkling as if he had just achieved something great. And in fact, he was right. It's a step forward. Laughing is laughing, but it's that little joy that fuels memory and confidence. You ask yourself, when did I lose the courage to be wrong, to laugh like Sam, and then suddenly feel relieved? Learning tirelessly, perhaps when we are carefree, seeing each stumble as a happy note, rather than a scratch on self-esteem. In the next part, you will hear a few more stories, equally silly and lovely, and then discover, learning a foreign language doesn't always have to be serious. Sometimes, just allowing yourself to be wrong, the world will become much more lovely. Funny stories, learning tirelessly, part 3. On a cool afternoon, you sit in the park, flipping through a few pages of your notebook to review some English phrases you've learned. Nearby, there is a group of international students chatting animatedly. They come from all over: Mexico, Korea, France, Germany. Each person has a different voice. Separately, sometimes stuttering, sometimes mispronouncing, but no one cares. They just say it, then burst out laughing when someone uses the wrong tense. A Korean girl named Mina said that on her first day at the supermarket, she intended to ask the staff, "Where can I find chicken breasts?" But because she was so nervous, Mina accidentally said, "Where can I find chicken breasts? No, chicken's chest. Ah, chicken's front?" The staff was stunned for a few seconds, then burst out laughing. Mina at that time just wanted to bury herself. But that day, she was taught the word breast for the chicken breast and chest for humans. This was a strange way of learning, really embarrassing, but also the most effective. Now Mina recounts it, teasing herself, then laughing out loud, making the whole group laugh along. You silently watch that moment, realizing what Jack once said: if learning is not fun, it's easy to give up. The laughter, the tiny mistakes, all seem to create a connection between people, making learning no longer a battle with the dictionary alone, but a walk with friends. You remember Emma, remember Sam, and remember yourself in the early days when you were just as confused. But now, you are grateful for the mistakes, the blushes, because thanks to that, each word, each sentence is engraved so deeply. Finally, you stand up, walk home with a completely different mood. Your mind still echoes the laughter of the group of students, along with many funny stories. You think to yourself, learning a foreign language is actually like collecting cute, silly memories. And the more memories, the richer your vocabulary and reflexes. So, if anyone is listening to this story and feels discouraged because you can't remember, or afraid of saying wrong, afraid of being laughed at, remember, laughter is the glue that helps knowledge stick the longest. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Don't be afraid of being stupid. Because one day, you will tell those same mistakes with a humorous voice, and others will laugh with you. And if you want to hear more stories like that, don't hesitate to join us. There are many more fun and cute stories waiting to turn learning into a tireless adventure.